So we wanted to kind of set the stage a little bit about Ukraine, and we wanted to share some information from a personal perspective about Ukraine. Who's not aware of what's going on there with Putin and Russia? The military, anyway. Some of the Russian people are not for that. But it's devastating watching what's going on there. So we have a personal friend, Sam Slobodian, who Tim went to seminary with, and Sam and his wife, Amy, they head up BIEM, which is Baptist International Evangelistic Ministries. So Tim served on the board for that BIM some years ago, and he's been writing in his emails, I hope you've gotten to see some of those, about their ministry. They've been involved in the Ukraine for 40 years, and they had 18 missionary Ukrainian families in the Ukraine. And BIEM was started by Sam's father, Peter, who escaped the Ukraine in the 40s. It's a great story of redemption and God using this man to spread the gospel. He escaped to South America and then eventually ended up in Chicago. I think he got saved in South America, and he spoke all these languages. And so they started, Russia was closed then. You couldn't get behind the Iron Curtain. So they would broadcast, and he would broadcast in the language. He knew 7 languages. And so they started churches in Chicago. That's where he ended up. Spanish-speaking churches, Ukrainian-speaking churches, Russian. So it was a tremendous ministry that God used this man for, and they started then this mission. And of course, Sam, the son, is now, his father has passed on. Peter married Tim, and I knew them both. And his son now takes care of that ministry, and it's just amazing what they're doing. It was such a great story of redemption and God using a man to spread the gospel. So we wanted to share a little video with you right now.
Dear friends, brothers and sisters, we're grateful that you're praying for us and are concerned for us, and we treasure this. Thank you very much for this. This is now the 8th day of the war. As we hear many bombs exploding near us, our cities are being bombed, but our soldiers are standing firm, and we're praying to God. Many ask me, why did I stay? It's hard to really answer that. But I think in these circumstances, Jesus would have stayed, like us, because Jesus was where he was needed. And there's many people here who have yet to hear the gospel and are ready to hear the gospel. And so that's why we're here. Thank you once again. Thank you for your support, for your prayers, and everything that you're doing for us.
Just to give you a little bit of taste of that and really challenge you to pray for this people. Sam shared with us about one of the pastors taking his family and another family to the Polish border. I'm not sure if this family those people have been able to stay there. A lot of them have moved toward the west, toward Poland, and those that are in the southern part went down, went south. But Sam shared with us about several families were on their way to the border, and one of the women went into labor, so they had to take her to a hospital, and then they had to keep going. But the men can't leave. The men 18 and above they have to stay. They cannot leave. You may have already heard that. And so the families are now probably going to be split up. Many of them have moved west, but they're going into Poland. And so just imagine that. So their families are probably going to be mostly split up. And BIEM has a courageous man in Poland, and he's renting houses, and he helps the missionaries find shelter and gives them financial aid until they're going to come to the United States. They're going to come to where BIEM is, and I'm sure other places as well. So they're preparing for that. But they don't know whether they'll see their fathers and the sons that stayed. So we really need to pray for these people. And also a friend of ours, Bruce Tuttle, who is in not in the capital, but outside of it, and he was a Bible teacher in the Bible college there, and he decided to stay. He's an American. His wife passed away some years ago. His kids are all grown. Some are in the ministry, and so he decided to stay. And he's in the middle of where those bombs are going off, and we get messages out from him. So if you would remember his name too, Bruce Tuttle. And you can go to the BIEM website called BaptistInternational.org, and you can see pictures there and videos and updates, and there's a media tab. And if you go there, there's a lot of videos like the one that we showed you. And one of the latest videos is a pastor explaining the opportunity that they have now, because everybody's flooding to the west, because all the fighting and all that is in the east, more towards the middle. So they're going way to the west towards Poland, and there's a lot of people still in Ukraine there. And he said it's unbelievable the opportunities that they're getting to share the gospel with all of these people who have no hope, and they're able to share hope with them. Many of them get saved, and then they're going on somewhere else and prayerfully taking the gospel there. So they see it as a great opportunity to share the gospel. So God is using a terrible event for his purposes. And so we're thankful for that. Romans 8:28, all things work together for good to them that love God. So we'd ask you to pray for these people, and Tim's going to come and talk a lot more about the situation there. So we appreciate your prayers for these people, and pay attention to the sheet. So put your hands together for Mr. Buck.